Well, a very good morning, everybody, for Monday, the 16th of August. Yes, I'm back again. You'll have me for most of this week, as Colin is now on annual leave. But yes, this week, as we lead up to competitions, a changeable picture, hopefully not as unsettled, but still with some issues getting just quite the sort of weather we want. High pressure very much into the Atlantic at the moment. And in that, we're starting to pick up a northwesterly flow. And with that ice bar slightly tighter, but hopefully bring a slightly more sort of unstable and less sort of problematic direction. But unfortunately for today, we do have a reasonable amount of upper cloud. This sort of picture remains with us for the next sort of few days, at least. Maybe a sort of weak front affair tomorrow, better maybe Wednesday. And yeah, lots of weak fronts just sort of not too far away. Hopefully this low pressure doesn't start moving towards us again. We surely can't be that unlucky for August. It certainly has been dreadful, we know that, but hopefully a bit drier at least. With those ice bars being so tight, we are going to see an increase in the wind strength at flying heights. So definitely a northwesterly flow now, which we haven't seen for a little while, sort of northwesterly at 20 knots. And that's generally consistent across the region as a whole. One moment, I'll just unplug the phone. The people ringing me during briefing, never a good idea. Okay, so yeah, the satellite picture over the UK does start to show this wave interference, which is coming across from the northwest. And with that in mind, you may see some sort of wave enhanced or wave destroyed thermals. I know David was sort of talking about it in his forecast. Hopefully we might see the better side of that. We'll just have to see, but certainly as we pick up a northwesterly direction, we are liable to see that. And I think we did see some influence of that last week as well with a strong southwesterly. So yes, not always what we want, but generally a bit brighter towards the south. There is this medium level cloud, which doesn't paint quite as well on the satellite image as it does on the sort of overheads, sort of looking out. But yeah, we are seeing this sort of mid-level cloud spilling in, but hopefully as it's quite weak, it should burn back a little bit. We'll get a bit more of a day out of it rather than it being unsoarable. Top temperature today of around sort of 20 degrees we might see, but if I'm honest, if we don't see the sunshine, we might be limited degrees. And looking at the public forecast on here, we can see that we might get lucky with burning back some of that sunshine, but there is going to be cloud features for a lot of today. The dew points generally sitting around sort of 9 or 10, and the sort of forecast from David hasn't been updated yet. It might be soon, but yeah, he was saying it's going to be a fairly tricky sort of cross-country day if we do get some fairly big breaks in this cloud. That's the picture outside at the moment. There goes the Falk off to Goodwood. Sort of see reasonable amount of cloud, but with some blue gaps in between. So hopefully we're lucky. And look, the clouds are already coming out. Got a temperature of 14 degrees, does feel a bit chilly, and a dew point of 9 currently. And Farnborough is reporting sort of overcast 4,800 feet with scattered at 3.5. So based on the data from Top Meteo, this is predicting if we were not to get too much significant upper level clouds, just bear that in mind. Starting with the potential flight distance, we have sort of a fairly sort of constricted task area out towards sort of north of the Salisbury Plain or just south, keeping away from windward coasts, as we know that does like to trigger off various sort of sea air effects there. So yeah, maybe out towards Devizes or down towards sort of Salisbury Way might be doable. With sort of cumulus and thermal heights, well, if the sun gets to the ground, we would see by about lunchtime maybe 1,300 meters with cumulus with sort of mid-level cloud. Not getting too much above that. So really cloud base stopping out at maybe 3.5, maybe 4,000 feet, but I wouldn't imagine any higher than that. And yeah, really is depending on how much sort of cloud cover we get. Medium level clouds and low level clouds starting to increase a little bit later in the day, according to this, which probably is the narrative which I would support a little bit. Certainly when we look at the soundings, places like Buckingham are looking decidedly moist at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Not unflyable, but 18 degrees there with clouds, certainly a bit of cumulus at 3,000 feet, but cloud all the way up from about 10 to 15,000 feet, and maybe the risk of it again further north. But as we look at Fairford, a little bit different. The lines meet, and we're not seeing too much the lines coming together in quite the same way. Maybe some mid-level cloud there, but yeah, cloud base at 4,000 feet, that's 1 o'clock, and similar with Lark Hill around 2 o'clock, similar. So yeah, as I said, your task area is going to be constrained to the west and southwest. Wouldn't want to be out too late either. I don't think if we have this mid-level cloud, it will go on forever. So just keep that in mind. And, yeah, just looking at that cloud distribution again, sort of, yeah, mixed. So on the whole, better, and not a day to write off, but certainly not a day to plan record-breaking flights, that's for sure. And that's the wind profile again from the northwest. Right, airspace wise, a few items to cover. Farnborough and Solent active as usual. Number 6 doesn't affect us at the moment, or today actually, because it's just closed at 9 o'clock. But just bear in mind, if you do happen to go out on a motor glider early in the morning, maybe off the south coast or something, the Goodwood temporary danger area for the drone activity has begun, and it's quite a large circle actually. I think, yeah, 5 nautical miles. So yeah, just be aware of that, because it will pop up occasionally. We are hoping that from that trial, we'll see less of these temporary danger areas, as it's designed for to try and incorporate drones and things like FLARM and stuff. 20 is parachute jumping at Bryce Norton between 3 and 4 local, up to 7,000 feet. So basically, if you're in that area at that time, you're going to fly over the top, speak to them. Little Rissington, one thing you may not have noticed is that they have now got an ATZ. On the most part, that's at weekends, but when they have sort of weekday flying courses for the air cadets, they have now got an ATZ between 9 and 5 this evening. You can call up. Frequency, I believe, is on the chart or in the AIP. Please let me know any feedback from that. As I said, we didn't necessarily support that ATZ particularly much, because it's an ATZ for 5 gliders when you've got 240 at Lasham. So yes, maybe a little bit of an overreaction there, but yeah. But if now they have it, if we could make sure, give them a radio call, see what response they get. Any issues, do let me know, and we'll feed that back. Usual Salisbury plane issues. With getting crossing services through there, aerobatics and the like at Sywell. Yeah, so I don't think it's in there today, but yeah, there might be some aerobatics at Sywell. Also bear in mind, we have fast jet activity at Odium today. The Typhoons that were there for the Families Day, which I understood went very well on Saturday. The Typhoons will be going, I believe, back to Coningsby today. So if you hear lots of noise and suddenly you've got something going at 250 knots, do not worry, it is only something, it's only our frontline fighter jet. So keep an ear out for that, and maybe don't sit on the extended ascent line of Odium at close proximity. Okay, no jet movements as far as from West Day. It's going to be 27 with this northwesterly, and it should be a reasonable day. I'm interested to see how many of there are of you. I haven't necessarily got the staff to run a grid, but if there are enough for you grid, then go for it. But if there's only going to be a handful, sort of 10 or 15 come to the runway. But yeah, nothing else to really speak of today. So hopefully we'll get something out today. We'll otherwise see you later in the week.